Ah, hooked on a feeling, bum, bum, bum. I'm how believing you're in love with me.
Intro!
Hey guys, welcome to the couch. We're here to talk about movies, so let's get started. And you were right. My shirt did light up in the intro. You can probably tell by my shirt that today I'm going to be talking about a Marvel movie. In this case, Guardians of the Galaxy. I just felt like I'd say it like that. This is kind of an odd movie, kind of an odd way to say of the Galaxy. And speaking of segues, you've probably heard this from a load of other reviewers, and now you're hearing it from me. This is kind of a leap for Marvel, because I think this is the first time that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is introducing a new character that's not from their Avengers lineup. I knew Guardians was getting a movie at the end of last year, beginning of this year, kind of around when Thor 2 came out. But I didn't really know anything else about it besides it's getting a movie, so I did a little research, I read a few comics, and how did it play out? I really liked it. Is it up to par with Captain America 2 or X-Men Days of Future Past? Personally, I don't think so. However, I do believe that it's up to par with the first Captain America, the first Iron Man, the first Thor, all the franchise starters, which is this is. So Guardians of the Galaxy, if you don't know, is about 5 outlaw misfits that join together to fight Ronan, because they all hate him for some reason. The team includes an assassin who's the adopted daughter of Thanos, a killer maniac out to avenge the death of his family. Man, people in the Marvel Universe really like avenging things. X-Men and X-Men First Class, Drax now in this, and the Avengers. A walking tree and a genetically engineered creature, which we would call a raccoon. Do not make the mistake. Bradley Cooper's character is not a raccoon. They go out of their way to make that clear. Speaking of Bradley Cooper, now all the main cast of American Hustle have been in a superhero movie. Wow, my videos are incredibly tangential. And a human named Peter Quill. If you tell someone the premise of Guardians of the Galaxy, it kind of sounds like a joke. Okay, you're gonna love this one. So a maniac, a walking tree, a raccoon, an assassin, and a human all walk into a prison. Speaking of other segues, the jokes in here are incredibly funny. I didn't grow up in the 80s, but this movie has a lot of 80s references, and for good reason. It focuses on Peter Quill, and he grew up in the 80s. If you are an 80s enthusiast or an adult in their 30s that grew up in the 80s, first of all, welcome to my channel. You will have a greater appreciation for this movie than people that don't understand the references. The only thing to really spoil in this movie are the jokes. Except for one other thing, so get on your army gear because we're going to be going into spoiler territory. I'm not sure how well explained this is in my videos, but if you have not seen the movie and just kind of looking for thoughts on it, mute the video until I get out of this soldier outfit. So let's get into spoilers. You have been warned. As I said earlier, there's only one thing to really spoil, and that's what's in the orb that Peter Quill goes after in the trailer and in the very beginning of the movie. That is the plot device. I did know about the Infinity Gems, I knew information about them, but I didn't exactly know how they worked. And oh my gosh, that was really freaky, whenever someone grabbed one. But I kind of expected that after I realized that they weren't actually just going after that orb itself, that I figured out, yeah, it's probably something to do with the Infinity Gauntlet. So I think the Tesseract is an Infinity Gem, I'm not sure. If it is, then people were grabbing it all willy-nilly in the Avengers. Second of all, that thing is huge in comparison to the size of an Infinity Gauntlet. I know Thanos is pretty big, but it would look like a Minecraft pimple in comparison to the rest of the glove. There's only one other thing I want to talk about. People say when they bring back characters from the dead, it's kind of a cop-out, but I thought it was really sweet when they brought back Groot as the potted plant. I thought one of the most touching parts of the movie was seeing Rocket with the plant. And it's not a cop-out because it makes sense. There weren't many spoilers to talk about because I think the plot is pretty incredibly straightforward. You are given a plot device and more than one party must follow it. Which isn't bad, it just doesn't have as many twists and turns as I'd expect in a story from Marvel. So it's not having as many twists and turns as you expect, technically not doing what you expect, so that gives it more twists and turns than it actually does, so it's kind of a paradox. I think the main 5 in the cast really kill it. I think Star-Lord and Rockets were the main stars. Drax I would have liked to see a little more with him, and Gamora and Groot were kind of in the middle, but I still liked them all. And it has a very distinct look, and I really like that because when we think of space movies, we think of Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and I think it's really nice to see something almost entirely different. My main problem with the film is that the bad guy is just kind of a bad guy. I think the main problem with this bad guy being a little more forgettable in this specific movie is because your movie is filled with criminals. This guy needs to stand out more than he did. And there's one scene in this movie, it's not worth spoiling, but it feels a lot like Star Wars. You will watch this movie and say, that was the scene he was talking about. Now I was trying to figure out how this was going to fit into the cinematic universe, so... theory time! This theory may contain spoilers, so... yeah. So Thanos was pulling all the strings in the Avengers, right? And he was using Ronan to try to get one of the Infinity Gems. So I think that Thanos is going to try to get an Infinity Gem on Earth, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy will go down to help the Avengers, and then words will be exchanged in the last, why didn't you take care of Thanos? It's like, yeah, we were kinda busy with Ronan. And then they all work together and take down Thanos in Avengers 3, 4, maybe 5. Of all the Avengers or soon-to-be Avengers to kill Thanos, I really hope it's Gamora. It just kinda makes the most sense. So the theory is done. In conclusion, I may have had a little problem with the villain, but Guardians of the Galaxy does its job and it does it well. It introduces us to a new group of characters that we have never heard of before. Good job, James Gunn. So I highly encourage you to check it out. So what are your thoughts on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Avengers 2 and Ant-Man coming up, or just any cinematic universe coming up in general? Like Universal's trying to get a different cinematic universe started with the monsters. They're starting out with the Mummy. How do you think Fox is going to handle their X-Men and Fantastic Four properties? And how do you think DC is going to work in the future? I'm curious to hear what you guys say. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe below. Ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga chaka. I've had these whole cans for over 10 years. Where does the time go?